In this video, I'm going to walk through an audit to look at their website in a little bit of detail, figuring out what keywords and phrases they may want to rank for, as well as looking at some elements that are specifically impacting their ability to rank in terms of organic search and AI as well. And the first thing I like to do is look at this tool called Ahrefs here. And in here, there are so many different data points, but the few I like to look at initially would be the backlink profile information in here, and then organic search data from, or in terms of how many keywords they're ranking for, how much traffic they're getting, and what that trend looks like as well. Now, all of that, we can dig into this data, and I will here in a minute. But the first thing I like to do is just see if there's any major issues going on with indexing or with their site itself. And to do that, what we can do is do what's called a site operator search. So you go into Google, type in site colon, and then we type in the root domain here. So in this case, hydraulicmegastore.com. And what we would look for then is to see whether or not the homepage is showing first. And it looks like their calculators are showing first, and then their blog, and then their brands page, and then a builder here. So in this case, it looks like there may be something going on with indexing for their domain. And in general, the homepage is almost always going to be the most powerful page on a website. And that should very often be the first page showing here in the search results for this type of search. So nothing major here because the site is indexed and the rest of the pages on the site are indexing, but this is absolutely something to look at to see. Maybe it's an issue with www redirect, maybe it's an issue with indexing or something else going on, but absolutely something to look at here. Now, other things to look at then would be looking at keyword data. And this is within Ahrefs here. What I have filtered to look for here is just US searches. We can obviously look at all locations or UK as well, but for purposes of this discussion here, I want to look just to US. Now, next thing to look at then is filtering by intent. And almost always it's going to be more beneficial to focus initially on commercial and transactional type keywords. And the reason for that is probably self-explanatory. It's because we want to rank for keywords that will likely drive revenue quickly. We can also work to build content for different types of searches like informational and navigational. However, those are going to drive awareness and potentially traffic, but it's very likely that the commercial and transactional, keywords would likely convert better. So major focus, major benefit of working on those initially. So all of that then, we can filter this by search volume, and we still have 3,366 keywords to look at here that they're currently ranking somewhere for. And one of the opportunities here that I want to go through is hydraulic fittings. You can see 3,400 people search this every month. It looks like they are number 14, and an estimated one person is coming to the site from that 3,400 searches per month. Now, another reason why this is so important is because if we look at this term here, hydraulic fittings, and we look at the keyword opportunity of any keyword or phrase containing hydraulic fittings, you can see here now 2,849 different keywords and 35,000 searches per month, 82,000 global searches. Now, this by itself is a massive opportunity, of course. And the reason for that is when we optimize content, when we optimize a page for these different keywords and phrases, we can work to build these terms into that content. And many of these terms are going to be competitive terms or not a product fit for what you have. And that's fine. We don't need to work on those. But there are still probably hundreds of additional keywords and phrases that we can work into the content on a specific page so we can target all of these additional thousands or tens of thousands of potential customers. And then the next part, and the reason why this whole process is extremely valuable now, is looking at question data here as well. And the reason question data is so important right now is because it impacts your ability to rank in AI. And what I mean by that is we not only want to have content that is general and about the topic or about the product in this case, but we want to answer questions that people are asking. And this tool here is only showing 87 different opportunities. But as you probably know, people are using voice search and also using sophisticated long tail searches. What that means basically is going into AI or into search and typing a specific part number or a specific problem or a specific application. So the more data we have on there to help our prospective clients or customers find this information, the easier it will be for us to rank in search and in AI as well. So back to hydraulic fittings then. If we look at the search results, I want to see what's going on here, who's ranking, what gaps we have, and what should be done to help a site like Hydraulic Megastore rank better for this key phrase. So first you can see here they're at number 14. And one of the first things I like to do is look at this DR column here. And if I zoom this in, we can see here that the DR, so as a quick side note, DR is on a 0 to 100 scale. And essentially what DR means is how strong or how authoritative a website is. And it's looking at the number of and the quality of those backlinks pointing to a website. And DR stands for domain rating. Again, 0 to 100 scale. So DR 17 here, 27, 96 is Amazon, 22 is Discount Hydraulic Hose, 38, 25, 71, and then Hydraulic Megastores here at 23. So actually they're stronger from a domain perspective than the site ranking number 1 that's getting almost 6,000 people to this homepage every single month. Now, side note, the other thing to look at here is what types of pages are ranking for this term. And you can see here, here's a homepage. This is an internal page or a product page. This is an internal page on Amazon, homepage, product page, product page. And then what we can do is get an idea. In some cases, we'll see almost the entirety of a search result is all collection style or category style pages. In that case, what we want to do is very likely match that same search intent that is currently ranking for that key phrase. But in this case, there's kind of a mixed balance here. We have some home pages, we have some internal pages. So in this case, it would just make sense to focus on whatever page is the best user experience for this key phrase. And in this case, it looks like an internal product page, which is fine, or maybe a collection page. We'll look at that in a second. So DR itself there's no major gap there. However, if we look at the number of links, you can see here, this domains column is the number of unique websites linking to a given page. And because Hydraulics Direct is their homepage, they have 309. Same thing here with Discount Hydraulic Hose, 283. Titan Fittings has actually 0 to this page here, but their domain is slightly stronger, and they're getting significant amount of traffic to this specific page every single month. Now, other things to look at then would be content structure. How is the page itself set up? So if we look at this page, there are a number of different elements I want to look at specifically here. And one of those is looking at the page itself, looking at the content structure, seeing how things are set up from that perspective. And a couple notes here as I'm looking through this. If we do an inspect here, so what I'm doing now is looking at the actual code of this page to see what elements are set. And I'll get to this in a second here in more detail. So I'm doing a search now to see what types of elements these are. This hydraulic hose and fittings generally should be what's called an H1. And you can see here the H1 popping up on the screen. So this is an H1. Now, what an H1 is the title text on a page. And almost always you would have one unique H1 per page. And the H1 should be descriptive of what that page is about, or the primary keyword or phrase that you would likely want to rank for. So in this case, this is set correctly. Now, as we scroll here, we have some product listings here. And now we have some additional heading tags. In most cases, you would see an H1, and then you would get to an H2, and it would read very much like an outline if you were to write a paper. So it'd be a primary heading, subheading, subheading as needed. And if we look here, this is an H4. So they're jumping from H1 to H4. And in some cases, it may not impact you significantly, but in this case, it may be causing issues with rankings. And the reason for this is if we look here at the recommended heading hierarchy structure here, generally you'd have one H1 per page. This is the main topic for the page. And here would be an example for this case. Then you'd move to H2s, and this would be primary or main sections on the site, or on the given page rather. And then you'd have subsections of H2s, and then you would rarely nest down to H4 through H6 if needed. And in general, what you want to do is you want to stay focused and not jump from H1 to H4. You want to have H1, H2, H3, and then back to H2 if it's another main heading. So sometimes if you're skipping levels like this, it can make it more difficult for a search engine to understand the primary content and primary keywords that page should be ranking for. So this is a recommendation I would have, is cleaning this content up from a technical SEO perspective. And as you can see here, you can style these different H tags differently. So this one actually is slightly smaller than these. So in that, it doesn't always mean that H1 is going to be the largest text on the page, because there's a lot of customization you can do with styling. So that is a recommendation I would have from a technical perspective on this page. And it's very likely this is happening on other pages as well. Now, next thing to do then would be looking at what are some other keywords or phrases we can also work to optimize for. And to do that, what I would do is look at a search in, you can either do this in something like Ahrefs. So if we go back to their keyword list here, we can look at all other keywords and filter through this to get an idea as to what other keywords or phrases, or pages we'd want to rank for and optimize for. Second thing then would be to use something like ChatGPT. And I have this list here that I've been working on, but a prompt I would use would be something like this. So we'd go to grab the URL, and then I would type in something like, give me a list of highly targeted keywords and phrases, this website, and you can misspell in here, it's totally fine, would want to rank for. The keywords should be focused on transactions and conversions. Give me the full list with no separators. And then as this runs here, we'll get an idea as to what keywords or phrases we could potentially look at as well. And this would be beneficial if you did not have access to something like SEMrush or Ahrefs. You can start working through here and determining whether or not your product list or category list has these different keywords or phrases in there. But if you do have access to a tool like Ahrefs, what you can do is just copy this entire list here, go into Ahrefs, go to the Keywords Explorer, paste that full list in here and click search. And then when this runs, in this case, we are pretty limited here with what this is showing. So in that, what you would do here then is go back here and give me more general style keywords. You don't need as many modifiers for buy or for sale or online. And this should give us an idea then as to the general product types that are still conversion focused that we can work to optimize for. Because we don't always necessarily need to have hydraulic or something like buy hydraulic hose assemblies online or hydraulic hose assemblies for sale online or something like that. So we want a little bit more generalized here. And then we go back to the keyword list and Keyword Explorer here, paste all of those in there. And we should see a little bit more search volume now. And we do. So now we have custom hydraulic hoses. So then what you can do is see who's ranking for these terms. And if you're not in here, then you can get an idea as to what they're doing and what should be done to reverse engineer and rank in here. And again, it looks like DR for this one. So let's pretend you're using this tool for your site here. Custom hydraulic hoses is the key phrase. You go to your keywords and you want to see if you're ranking for this. You can do this quickly here. Filter keyword for custom hydraulic hoses. We'll do singular. It should still pull it up if there is a plural search. Do a search here. And it looks like custom hydraulic hose. They went from 23 to nowhere to be found. They lost that ranking for some reason. And so then what you could do is look at this page in more detail and see what's going on. This is custom hose assembly, it looks like. And this is probably the H1 on this page. Yep, it is. And this is H4 again. So we have that same structure that is potentially breaking things down a little bit. And I would highly recommend cleaning that up and fixing that. Now, the other thing then would be to look at and determine, is this page best optimized for or wanting or intending to rank for custom hose assembly? So if we look here, custom hydraulic hose. So you can do this. We look at custom hydraulic hose. And we'll do the plural as well. Let's see. Custom hydraulic hoses. And then we'll do custom hose assembly and then custom hose assemblies. Let's see how that looks. See what kind of data we have here. Oh, it broke into the new line. Okay, let's redo this. Keywords Explorer, back here. So we need custom hydraulic hoses, custom hose assemblies, and custom hose assembly. Now let's see what kind of data we have here. So custom hydraulic hoses is the biggest winner here in terms of search volume potential. And then we have custom hose assemblies, has about 1/4 of that traffic. Custom hose assembly, and then custom hydraulic hose, the least. So custom hydraulic hoses has by far the most traffic potential here in terms of search volume. So it would make sense to optimize this page, again, if that's your primary target, for something like custom hydraulic hoses instead of custom hose assembly. And again, maybe you have a page for both, but in general, my recommendation would be to optimize the page for the biggest search volume key phrase, and then you can optimize within H2s and H3s for other keywords and phrases that you'd also want to rank for. So in general, there are a number of things that I would recommend for a site like Hydraulic Megastore here to clean up their SEO, making sure that you're optimized from a technical perspective, focused on ranking in AI, and heavily focused on ranking for transactional style keywords. Hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I plan to do more videos like this, sharing insights and input on how you can rank a website specifically related to industrial manufacturing, things like that, in not only organic search, but also in AI as well. And that's it. I'll see you on the next one.